Focused Warrior podcast. John and Aaron, my brother. What's going on, man?
Yeah, doing good, bro. Doing good. Same, same. Just fucking get to work. Get to work.
Get
It's.
to
I'm just.
fucking work,
As soon
man.
as I say that, I'm chuckling about the last conversation we had. But hey, man, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's been a good week. All in all, just a good week. I learned a lot about myself this week and just where I could, plug some holes up, man, and just test myself in ways that I never have before. And bro,
Yeah,
sitting here and I just feel good, man. So, and I would tell you if I wasn't. So, how about you, brother?
100%. I'm really enjoying the space that I'm in. Not afraid to stretch the boundaries with conversations that need to have message that I believe the world needs to hear, and that's from a social media front, that's from a business front, and it's to also have. And I did a really cool 5 day, like I say, a 5 day challenge with a coach, and he we did talk about a lot of things that refreshed the memory, but one thing that kind of came out of it, like a massive takeaway, was to really back yourself. And hence, when you're looking at backing yourself, you go, okay, well, then you have a look at your worth, you have a look at the programs you're doing, then you have a look at, all right, how do I redefine it? How do I tweak it? But then how do I send that message out there to the rest of the world? So that's been my space this week, and I'm actually loving it. I'm loving it because the thing is, though, there's a lot of people that are in the world of instant gratification. It's like, they put a piece of content out or whatever it is from social media, especially if you're in an online space from business and you don't get the hit straight away. They go, fuck it, it's not going to work. Whereas for me, it's like, you know what, this is a consistent. This is an ongoing thing, and it's no different to when you hit 100 podcasts. It's no different. It's like you start off with one, and the hundreds are so far away, but then all of a sudden, what are we at? 83, bro. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
Hey,
when you
bro, I'm glad you brought the number 83 up. I don't know if you're familiar, Aaron, but I actually learned this, during my time of, losing my boy. I pay attention to a lot of numbers, bro, and I have shared this with you a lot. The number 83, brother, is very special, and it stands for 8 letters, 3 words.
oh
I love you.
oh,
That's what 83 stands for.
that's very cool. That's very cool.
It's and you guys listening right now, I want you to go and do that real quick. Count I love you, count how many letters it is. You'll see that it is 83. And bro, that is a good segue in what we're going to talk about.
I
This
agree.
podcast is going to be a little bit
I agree.
going to hit some hearts tonight, bro. It is, man. So, good way to get into it. You ready for this, brother?
Yeah, I am. I am.
Gotta take a deep breath here, man. This one's gonna be good. This one's gonna be
Yep.
real good. So I thought about it this week, man, and one of the things that came up for me was the power of one more. And I don't mean one more as in big shout out to Ed Milet. That's his book. Dude, if you haven't read that book, I'm sure you have. It's fire. It's an epic book. But I'm coming from a different space on one more, dude. And what I shared with you, brother, was, and I know you have this story too, but if I could have one more conversation with my son, what would I say? How would that go? How long would I have? I want to start there. I got some more to share, dude, but how does that grab you?
When you told me this a few days ago, the very first time I heard it, like just a wave of emotion, because I knew exactly where you were coming from, that absolute wave of emotion. And like I was actually in a cafe at the time, and I was just about in tears. I'm like, holy fuck,
Wow.
that fucking hit. And then obviously I've had a few days to think about how I would frame this. And you know, those of you that don't know, I've lost both my parents over the last. I lost my dad nearly 9 years ago now, and I lost my mum 4 years ago. 4 years ago this year, and the conversation I'd have with both of them is pretty much the same, and it all goes down to naturally being able to have being able to hear their voice is probably the first thing that really comes to my mind. The next thing would be tell them how much I love them, because we never tell people enough how much we love them.
No.
And then there'll be two questions. And the two questions that I'd ask are, do you have any regrets? And if you could
Mm.
do this again, what would you do differently? And I think,
Wow,
and
bro.
like one question I asked my dad before he passed away, and naturally he had brain cancer, and look, he wasn't very, like he wasn't there at all. Like it was just a shadow of my dad having brain cancer. It's like they just, yeah, they're not even in a frame of mind at all of being. So, I
Aaron,
had the
how did you, sorry, bro, to interrupt, man. How did you feel, dude? Just, I mean, watching your dad like that, that had to grab you, bro.
Yeah, look, I think the reality of it was that I was the only one that was by his bedside nearly 24/7. In the last 2 weeks, he
Wow.
passed away.
Wow.
My mum could not be there. My sister had, obviously a 24/7 care daughter to look after and work and all that. So they had those responsibilities. My younger brother was living in another town in New Zealand, about an hour and a half away. So I was the only one. I was the only one there. Slept in his room. And I think for me being like the son that moved away from home, I moved away from, I guess, my family 25 years ago. And for me, it was, I always look back on it. I never called my parents enough. I never rang them just to say hi. I always, a few months later, it was always about me. I put myself first.
Yeah.
I didn't give a fuck about my family. So that was my opportunity to give back to my dad. It was my opportunity to spend time with him and go, you know what? I fucked up. I fucked up as a son. I was a little shit. I was, I made his life hell. He was just doing the best that he could, being a father. And I made it difficult for him. And there were a couple of times there where I literally didn't have him in my life. We were very estranged as a father and a son. So this was my opportunity to make amends, and was my opportunity to go, you know what? I admit my wrong. I admit that I fucked up. I admit that I was an asshole of a son, through some of my years. I just want to be here, and I just wanted to be present, just in that father son moment, and go, you know what, this is my opportunity to give back and just to give him my time. So, and it was really powerful. Like it was a really beautiful thing. Like I said, he was just a skeleton of the father that I knew he was, and right up until the last time, until I think the day before he passed away, he was in his wheelchair. He was up around. He was saying hello to people, and he was that juvenile, happy, old man that I knew him to be. And the one question I asked him, I think a few days before he passed away, was, "Do you have any regrets?" And naturally, it took a little while for him to answer it, but he turned around and said, "No, I have no regrets."
Wow.
And there were a few
Wow.
questions that I obviously asked him as well about the relationship between him and my mum and things like that. But I think the biggest takeaway from all of that was I just needed to be in his space. I just needed to be present. And I just needed to let him know that there was someone there through like the end of his life. Just someone was there. I just wanted him to feel that there was someone there just holding his hand and telling him everything's going to be okay. And just holding his hand and telling him that we will be okay. He was holding on. He was a fucking fighter. He was holding on.
Wow.
He was doing everything he could to not leave. In the spiritual form, he wanted to hang around, and I just needed to remind him that we will be okay. So, yeah, man. But I, yeah,
Bro.
yeah, and look, I'll quickly talk about my mum as well. After Dad died, I spoke to my mum a good 3 times a week from that day onwards. So I became really close to mum. We had some really cool conversations, a lot of laughing as well. And obviously me being the smart ass son I was, talking about how much I love Trump, and yeah, it was really cool. It was a really cool conversation. We had some good laughs, and I think the the thing that frustrates me and angers me the most is what the world went through from 2020 to 2024. And when mum passed away in 2021, I could not leave the country. I could not leave the country. If I could, this whole fucking quarantine bullshit and testing and whatnot, couldn't leave because I'm a New Zealand citizen and wanted to go back to New Zealand to see my mum. I
You couldn't
wouldn't
do it,
have,
right?
I wouldn't have been allowed back in the country. I wouldn't have been
Wow.
allowed back in the country. So I'm like, I had to make that really fucking tough choice. But even then, even if I did leave, I would have been locked in a fucking hotel room for 30 days.
Yeah.
And when mum actually went into hospital, she had a burst ulcer in her stomach, which literally ruptured her stomach. So,
Wow.
and yeah, so the operation, was successful, but there was just so much trauma on her body. She, I don't want to get too graphic here, but she choked on some milk, and then that was a like major organ, failure from there on in.
Yeah.
So as a family, we had to make a really tough decision about like literally 12, 24 hours later to pull the life support from her and yeah, just kind of let her be at peace. But the hardest thing for me, like I said, I'm in a lot of anger with it, and I forgive, but I don't forget. And in most cases, that's how I live my life. But in this case, I don't forgive the fucking bullshit that we had to go through. I don't forgive the people that made these decisions that you couldn't go to your family's funerals. All this bullshit, couldn't visit. And I literally had to watch my mum die on FaceTime
Yeah.
when they pulled the life support from her, and I had to attend her funeral via Zoom. Yeah, as and that fucking hurt. That really fucking hurt. So yeah, look, there's probably some anger that comes up every now and then, which just kind of just like it not only distracts me, but it also there's that self-sabotage thing that comes in. So I've had to work really, really hard to just tune into my heart, and you know come from a lot of kindness. But at the same time, those fuckers that did this to the world, they deserve what's coming. And I think this is where I now come from. That truth will set you free, and so the whole notion of stop lying to yourself, stop lying to our people around you, just be fucking honest. And I think also when both my mum and dad passed away, there was one thing that I could control moving forward, and that was what was the legacy I wanted to leave behind, what was the life I wanted to create. And even though I didn't have that guidance in a physical form, they're with me every single fucking day. I feel them, I hear them every single day.
Man, bro. Come on. Come on, brother. Come on.
Yeah, so man, that I didn't think I was going to get this emotional.
It's badass, dude. You're a badass, man.
So, and I'm lucky that I get to live every day and show my son, what true strength means.
So good, brother. So good, man. Thank you for sharing that, brother. That's
Dude,
just by far awesome, man.
I knew this was going to be a hard conversation. I really did. And I actually, in all honesty, I thought well, I was going to compose myself a lot better. But, and this is where I come from as a man, like being able to be comfortable to share your emotion, however it
Yeah.
is. Like, and look,
Yes.
there's not really sadness, there's still grief. And I think there's a big difference between what are you experiencing? You're experiencing grief or you're experiencing sadness. There's still grief that we experience every single fucking day. And I can't wait to hear your story as well. And this is where it's like, yeah, express it, but don't stay there. I don't want you to fucking stay stuck. It's like, yeah, I'm awesome that you've experienced that. Awesome that you've shared this with me. And we say this to ourselves, all the time. And I think this is right at the start of our relationships. We turned around to each other and it's like, great, I hear you, mate. Empathize with you. It's like, but what do we do now? Where do we go
Yeah.
from here? And that's what we always need to remember. It's like, yeah, awesome that you're sharing it, but where do you go from here? What are you prepared to do from here on in? So
Mm,
yeah, man.
mm. So good, brother. So good, man. And you know, I think the Aaron that what happens, man, in these moments, this one more, dude. I don't think
Mm,
people realize the power of just this conversation of who this is going to hit, right? Maybe who is went through that same thing you did, Aaron. One more conversation, dude. And one of the things that I'll say, you know, and I'm definitely going to bring up Jayden too, but one thing that I want to talk about quickly here is you just don't realize how powerful your words are in these moments. And I'll use one example, man, of this story that lives on with me for so long. And I think you said this best. You said, I believe it's was this a north of 70% of men of suicides are men.
mm,
I believe that's what just that's what you told me the stat was.
mm,
You know, Aaron, there's one particular story that I heard that really just touches me, man. And again, I won't make it a very long-winded story, but it goes like this: There's this freshman in high school, walk to school every day, get bullied, come home, repeat. And this went on for months. And finally, he got sick of it. Freshman in high school, by the way, mind you, this is a young man, decides one day that he is just not having it anymore and he's done. When he leaves school that day, he's on his way home to end his life. And on his way home, he actually crosses paths with one of the seniors in the class, gives him attention, talks to him, doesn't know anything about him whatsoever, just walks with him home, has this great conversation with him, lifts him up. Just, dude, I don't even know what the conversation was. I just know that it was just a powerful conversation. And he didn't go home and hurt himself. Fast forward 4 years later, he ends up being the valedictorian of the school, right? In his address to the high school, he says, "You may not know this, but my freshman year of high school, I actually planned to end my life. And it was because of," and he pointed out the gentleman who obviously had, you know, was already he moved on from high school, but he said it was because of him that one day that changed everything for me. I bring all that up, Aaron, because we don't realize what
mm,
one more conversation could look like for anybody, any one of us, Aaron. So you getting emotional like this, man, it changes people's lives. Men don't do that because they think it's this, that, and the other.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
do it. Do it because you know what? You don't know who's listening. And the power of your freaking tongue to speak life into somebody else is real.
mm,
You don't realize that, brother. And so to your point, man, I mean, oh fuck. It's I think I just bring my son into his right here, my beautiful son Jayden. And all I know, bro, is I just replayed Saturday night when he left the house because he was staying the night at his friend's house Saturday night. And it wasn't a lot of, you know, bunch of conversation. It was Halloween weekend, so he was going out, going to hang with his buddies. They were going to dress up. And I just remember telling him, "Hey, just be careful. I love you." And the last thing we did was fist bump on his way out the door. And he said, "Love you, stud." I said, "Love you too. Have a good time. We'll see you in the morning." Imagine that, Aaron. Imagine that. And this is what I'm saying, man. We don't get it.
yeah,
You don't realize. And so when I'm listening to you talk about, you know, your parents and what you would say, what would I say? I just know, bro, that poor Jayden, man, he used to hear from me a lot because I worked from home. You know, same time shutdown happened. He was a freshman in high school when the shutdown happened. So he was with me all the time.
mm,
So he heard a lot. I brain dumped on him a lot, good, bad, or different. He got his dad a lot. So right, the thing is, bro, is that I don't know that I have regrets because I told him a lot. I mean, I probably overshared a lot of stuff with that kid. But don't get it twisted, man. I could have had a different conversation with him on Saturday, right? And
right,
Friday night, just to go back one more day, he was grounded. His mom grounded him because he got in trouble for being a goofball, talking back to her or something. When the mom grounds you, you're grounded, bro. That's
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
there's
It's
no
not
going
happening.
back. You no
Not
go.
going. So the thing is, originally she said, I'm grounding him for the whole weekend. He's not going nowhere.
Mm,
So you start doing that, and it's not a downward
mm,
spiral, Aaron, because now on my grief and my journey, I just really look at these things from a different perspective. But it makes how I speak now even that much more powerful because I don't know, Aaron. I could meet a stranger in the street and compliment him or
yeah.
her on their outfit, on their hair, on their jacket. And dude, that might be all they need. There's so many stories of people go, you know what? I decided to go a different direction all because I met Aaron. Aaron changed my life and he
Mm,
doesn't even know it.
mm.
We don't realize that, Aaron, but we're too flipping busy being right here, worrying about how our shitty life sucks and we're this and we hate our job and we hate this and we're entitled and we want instant gratification and I want to go viral and I want Aaron, that shit doesn't matter, dude.
Yeah.
You know what matters is how big you can speak to somebody and let them know, you know what? I love what you just said right there. You changed my whole perspective on the way that I look at this life just by saying what you said. People don't do that enough, Aaron. And that's what I
I
mean by the
agree.
power of one more, brother.
So we're going to get to it. You know, this is a absolutely perfect opportunity for you, and you've had a few days to think about it, just like I have. We know we can say things, do things differently, and if you did have that time again on Saturday night, how would it look? How would it sound?
Oh, bro. You know, I think that the way that I've been thinking about this the last couple of days, you really got me just a few minutes ago when you said you would tell them how much you love them. The love word, bro, doesn't come out enough. And I was tough on Jayden. I was a rough around the edges kind of dad, but I loved him and he knew it. I mean, we said we every time he walked out the door, I love you. Love you too, son. Have a great day at school. I think the love word, dude, I just would have let him know, hey, I know I'm hard on you. I know you may not like everything that I do as your father, but you know what? I love you. I freaking love you. I'm proud of you. And Aaron, this is the thing, dude. When I say these things, it's not a regret. It's can I say it 10,000 more freaking times? If I had one more conversation, can I just sit here and for an hour and just say I love you? That dude is just it's so powerful. And to your point, man, you said, you even made me think about it, man, I need to visit my parents more. I need to stop being a jackass and get busy, right? Because just what you said, I didn't visit them enough. I didn't tell them I love them enough. Dude, that hurt. That hits me right in the core, dude.
And you
Where I'm
know
like,
what?
oh yeah, oh, man.
Like, I'm lifting up my phone if you're on YouTube. You know, we've all got one of these.
Yeah.
And we never pick it up enough just to have a conversation. And just as you were speaking, saying that, I don't. If I had, Saturday again, I would tell Jay how much I loved him over and over and over
Yeah.
again. I had to pick up my phone and I had to send that message to my boy because, like, he's my family. I don't speak to my brother. I don't speak to my sister. I love them, but we're on completely, yeah, we're on completely different different paths, and that's okay.
And that's allowed. That's
Of
allowed.
course it is. Of course it is. I don't hate them. I love
Yeah.
them. They're my fucking brother and my sister. I just don't need to, be with them all the time. I care about them. But yeah, like to just quickly, three fucking harmless words. I love you. And sending that to my boy in this moment, really cool, and for the first fucking time. And if you've got a son, if you've got a kid, you know how long it takes for them to respond to an SMS, like literally straight away. Literally straight away. You know what? I'm not going to embarrass him. I'm actually going to read this out. He's like, love you too, mate. I'll give you a call this evening. Got to smash out some editing today. So he's doing a lot of social media stuff and editing
So
for it.
cool.
Yeah, so he's a videographer, so he's doing a lot of that. And man, you know what? And I think that's what it is. Like we allow ourselves to get in the way too much.
Yes. Yes,
You
we
know,
do.
and instead of going, okay, well, this life is not what it is unless we help the people in it. And unfortunately, too many of us are so fucking self-centered, and you said it before, that fuck it, if you're not going to message me, then I'm not going to message you, that kind of shit. And it's like, really? Just fucking get over yourself, man. Like, the problem is that people don't want to send a message because they expect a reply. I didn't expect a reply. I just wanted to tell him. I just wanted to tell my son just that, you know?
Well, just as you did that, guess what? You got me working. So guess what I just did? I sent two texts as well to my parents,
Fuck,
and
love
I'm
it.
gonna call them after this and
Love
just
it.
have a conversation. And you know what, Aaron? To your point, man, we need to lose the expectation shit
Yeah.
because this is the thing. What you're saying here, man. Again,
And
it
drop
just
the ego. And drop your fucking ego.
it just
Yeah.
it's got it when whoever's listening right now, it's gotta hit you in the core because Aaron just said, I just this is what I would tell him. Thing is why do we gotta wait? And I'm not talking about you, Aaron. I'm just saying, why are we getting in the
Yeah.
way of our own shit?
Mm.
And then when they're on their hospital bed, you're like, oh man, I wish I would have did more. You had the time, jackass. And bro, I'm talking to myself here too, because you know what? I'm guilty of it too. The reason why we have these talks, Aaron, is because we call out our own shit. We
100%.
man up and say this is
Hey,
our
bro.
own shit too. Oh look,
How you doing?
look,
Hey,
live right now.
I'm doing a live podcast. How you doing, mate?
Live,
Love you.
live right now. He's got his son on the phone, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey,
How
audience.
cool is
Yeah.
this?
All right, you can say hi now. All right, dude. Love you, bud.
How cool was that? How
Hey,
how cool is that?
we said from the start as well that we're never going to edit this thing. So, man, this is real life. This is what it is. That
How
was my
cool
boy
was
giving me a
that?
call. I'm not going to send him a message, hey, call you back later, because it could have been something important. So I'm like,
Exactly,
you know, and why
bro.
do we, yeah. So it's like, stop fucking living a life or living in a world where you think it revolves around you.
Yes, thank you.
Fucking
Thank
drop it.
you.
Fuck.
We
Anyway,
gotta
so
we gotta wrap that up, Aaron, because again, that was perfect, dude.
no, we're
I
not,
mean,
because you
here's the
haven't
thing.
answered. You
Here's what
haven't
here's what I would
asked.
say. Here's what I would say. I just have one more thing to say about that, though. You see what happens when you reach out to somebody first?
Yeah.
They may have been thinking about you the whole time, but yet your ego or whatever you just busy or whatever it is, right, gets in the way. But when you do it, they're like, "Hey, is everything cool?
Yeah.
You said I love you, right?" We sometimes we take that wrong too, Aaron. We take that the wrong way. Like, I love you.
Mm.
What do you mean I love you? What's wrong? Something's got to be wrong,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like, no, just telling you I love you. And no, we're not done
Yeah.
because you're not finished. Because I know that I'm not even looking at just the Saturday night with you and Jay. I'm looking at what more, what kind of conversations would you be having with him? How, because I mean, you said you have no regrets, and that's cool. I'm going to ask you the question that I'd ask my mum and my dad. What would you do differently?
I'm going to be very, very clear and upfront with you, Aaron. And I struggled with this for a good year after everything happened. I couldn't find anything different. And what I mean by that, Aaron, is you have to realize, dude, that I was a very, very, very present father to Jayden. Very present.
It's fucking beautiful
When
too.
we locked down, he was stuck with me because his mom still had to go to work.
Yeah.
He was stuck with me from sun up to sundown because he did all his work in his room, came out to get food. Him and I would talk. Him and I would fight. Him and I would make up. Him and I would have funny conversations. I helped him get his job at Top Golf. Dude, Aaron, I was there for every move he made. Now, that doesn't mean that I knew everything he was doing, nor did I want to. But what it was, Aaron, was I let him live his life, and this is what my wife and I talk about this a lot. We let him live his life the way Jayden wanted to live his life,
Mm.
meaning we didn't tell him, "Hey, all right, whatever, we can get on this topic," but we didn't tell him, "Hey, take 10% of your check and save it. Just go live, son." And you know what's dope about that, Aaron? I'm glad I did that
Yeah.
because he got to live. He got to live his life the way Jayden wanted to live his life. Did I agree with everything he did? No. Do I wish he would have gone in a different direction, sports wise? Yes, absolutely. Because I had him playing ball since he was 5 years old. He was a stud. And do I wish that? Yes. I mean, absolutely. If I say there's one regret, I wish he would have stayed in baseball. But there's a little star next to that because we locked down when he made varsity. He made varsity, Aaron, his freshman year in high school, which is unheard of. But he was that good. I had coached him up that much, and I'm gloating a little bit, but he was that good of an athlete that he was making varsity his freshman year of high school. Then
Mm.
guess what? The lockdown happened. No baseball season. That's it. Then you go back to being a bored teenager who has too much time on his hands and then ends up going with,
We were all
other
there.
things to make him happy, right? I mean,
Yeah,
so,
we've all done it.
but for me as a father, I mean, because this is the thing that you can't control what your kid does, right? You
Mm,
can only
mm,
control how you respond to the situation as a parent. So for me, did I get over the top sometimes? Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I could have came at him with a little bit more love. Okay, we'll put that one out there. That's no problem. But I'm just saying, Aaron, I was very present with him. And it's hard for me to say, man, what would I have done different? Because in the moment, he learned. He may not have liked it. And I learned because I
mm.
never, I mean, my older boy, that's another conversation, but it was one of those things where I got to be with him 24/7. And when I was with him 24/7, I had to learn pretty damn quick what I should have been doing as a father and what I shouldn't have been doing as a father. And a lot of that, Aaron, came with me understanding that he was watching my every move. How was I
Yeah,
treating his
yeah,
mom? How was
they
I
do.
treating his sister? How was I treating females out into the world? How was I treating males out in the world? How was I speaking? Was I cussing all the time? Dude, I had to take a hard look at myself and go, is this the type of man I want him to be? Because he's emulating me.
Mm, mm.
So, bro, I don't have regrets when it comes to that little boy. I feel so good with what I did. Now, again, do I wish? I see the only thing that I wish is that his mom would have just grounded him for the whole weekend. Who knows, right? But
Yeah.
once again, we can't do that. That's selfish. I can't be that way because this is the way it was supposed to go. Whether I want to admit that or not, whether I
Mm,
want feel good at saying that, how it went was the plan. And I have to live with that. What can I do differently, Aaron? You know what I'm saying? I can only tell my story organically with as much, hurt and pain, frustration, anger as possible. But the truth is, Aaron, is that I was just with that. I was with him. And so, I mean, I could sit here, dude, and I could list so many highlights, the days, how I felt when I felt like such a proud father. The day I took him to his Top Golf interview and we went through a mock interview, a role play. All right, Dad, what if they asked me this? And then round two, he went in and did another interview. And then the day that he got the call, Aaron, I was just finishing work and he picked up his phone. He's like, Dad, this is Top Golf. So, all right, here we go. And they hired him. And I gave him a big old monster hug. And I'm like, so proud of you. I knew you could do it. And then he went on to Top Golf and met so many amazing young kids that still come around today. And it's so freaking cool, man. It's like that legacy, like you talked about, that
yeah.
legacy that he left behind that now we get to hang with his friends that he already knew that were awesome. We just need to see it for ourselves. And we would have never got to see that if he was still here. And I think that that's I don't know, man. It feels weird to talk like this, but it just it's just how it is now. It's how I've had to accept it
Mm.
that I don't have regrets. I gave that little boy every ounce of me as a dad, as a man raising another young man. I I feel good with what I did, Aaron, and that's really what it is. So yeah, are there little things that sprinkle in there? Yeah, of course, absolutely. Why? I mean, I would like my wife and I would talk about all the time. I'd pitch a tent on the side of a highway just to have. If somebody said to me, "You can have Jayden back, but you have to be homeless on the side of the highway." Let's go,
Yep.
let's go. But this is the life that I live every day, and I'd live it without regret. And it's crazy that even after all this time, I still have searched and searched. What could I have done differently? What did I do wrong? What did I do? And the truth is, Aaron, I can't find anything. I was there. I was there. And that to me, dude, is I think what most of these young men are missing is that
Mm.
presence of the father, that the man that created them to step up. And again, I'm saying this all, Aaron. Well, again, there's a sore subject on my older boy, and he's called me out on it plenty of times, and I wear that one as like a badge of honor too. But I'm not going to get into that one now. It's way too long winded. But we can have that conversation at another time. But
You know we're going to.
for
You know we're going
Jayden,
to. Yeah.
yeah, 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 no, 100%, and I'm ready for it, dude. I've
Mm.
I've had this conversation with him, so it's not something that's I'm running from or that I'm scared from. We've had a hard conversation together, I mean, I'm here for it.
Right.
So yeah, bro. I mean, I knew this was gonna get heavy, dude. I knew it was, man. But it's that one more, dude. It's that one more conversation that I just don't think we realize that the power of our tongue, man, the way we speak, it just goes a long way for a lot of people. So this one was probably a little bit longer than we wanted it to be, man, but rightfully so. Damn it.
I agree. Yeah, no regrets on what needed to be said in this moment. And bro, I think the beautiful thing about this is the space that we're both in, being comfortable, being able to share what we needed to share, and then also look at, okay, where do we go from here? What do we do from here? And we allow ourselves not to be stuck in the moment. So, and I've said it a couple of times on this podcast. If anyone is feeling a little lost, just reach out to John and I.
Yes.
We're on YouTube, we're on Shorts. Put a little comment there. Let us know, what's actually going on. We're both in this space to be able to listen. We're both in this space also to be able to give you the tools on what you can do to move forward. So, yeah, don't feel like don't feel like you have to go through this life alone because you're not. So I thank you,
No.
John. Appreciate you, brother, as normal. Love you, and I thank you for your time. And guys, thank you very much for listening.
Thanks, my brother. Thanks, everybody. Till next week. We appreciate you. And yeah, share the show. We'll talk soon. Thanks,
Take care,
everybody.
guys.